All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome everybody to another edition of Ask Us Anything. Andy and I are hanging out here ready to answer all of your questions. Thanks to everybody who joined. We got a big crowd today, which is great because we're going to do some fun stuff at the very end and raffle off some fun things. But stick around for that later. Today we have a couple good topics. For those of you who haven't joined before, Andy and I usually go over some basic updates, things that have been going on recently, things we're hearing around the community in terms of new features we've put out, and also resources that we've released recently. And then we do a lot of Q&A, which is a lot of fun. So feel free to start putting your questions in the Q&A box or the chat box, whichever one you prefer, and we will get to those by the end of the webinar. Other than that, I think we are going to jump into a couple things. So the first thing we wanted to do, because there have been so many questions around it, is talk about some of the features that were released recently in the team plan. Seems like a more efficient way just to show everybody and get a lot of the questions out of the way, because there are some misconceptions, things like that, just curiosities. So the first thing I'm going to do is demo the Azure AD Sync integration. So let me pull up my Chrome here. The first thing that I want to show you is how you would set it up. So let me find the right window that I thought I had ready. There it is. Okay. So here we have the App Center. If you are interested in setting up or looking at the Azure AD Sync integration, you can go ahead and click this. I already have it set up here, so it's going to show it as if it was set up. But the general idea here is that you have your client's Azure AD environments. They have their different users within Azure AD, and you want to be able to sync them into Syncro as contacts and then bill against that, as well as look at all the different information and keep it up to date. And so what we've done here is enable you to connect their Azure AD instance. Over here, you just enter a tenant ID. You can ignore departments. We have some new changes coming here as well. I'm sure that'll come up in the Q&A, where you can also only include certain departments. For example, you can choose whether you want to sync guest users or full members. Enter the tenant ID. So you'll need to have access to their Azure instance. Enter the tenant ID here, and then it will automatically import all of their contacts into the associated customer. So let me show you an example of what it looks like once that is done. So here I have an example business. They have their own Azure license. You'll see it does a couple things. So it uses some custom fields that are automatically added to the customer. So it'll pull the Microsoft Secure Score from Azure for that instance. It'll pull the number of licensed users and active users. It will also automatically create contacts for you. The unique value here is on the email address. So that is what it uses to map one-to-one from the Azure AD instance to your Syncro contact. So the email address has to match in both. If they do not exist in Syncro, it will pull them into Syncro and create them for you. Otherwise, it'll just update their contact information. In addition to that, it pulls these 4 fields. So it'll pull their main Azure license, so you can bill against this as a dropdown, and you can use the recurring invoices to dynamically bill against that value in the dropdown. Also, if you have the right permissions set up in Azure and you have the right license in Azure, and there's information about this in the knowledge base article, it will pull that AD users MFA status and methods, as well as the last time they used their Azure user. And it'll sync those over here. Again, there's a couple things you have to change some of their settings in their Azure instance to get these fields to come over. And once you do that, it'll do so. I will post the knowledge base article in case you're interested in getting those fields to come over. So I'll put that in the chat here. So that's Azure AD in a nutshell. I'm sure there'll be questions about it we can get to, but I just wanted to show that quickly. On the rest of them that we wanted to show, we also wanted to show the database exports, because there are quite a few questions about that as well. So the idea here with database exports is that if you want to be able to pull all of your Syncro data out of Syncro and then do something with it, like if it gives you peace of mind to have it in Amazon AWS S3, that's fine. You can do that. If you want to also use that data to create your own dashboards, visualizations, etc., you want to maybe use them to build a Power BI dashboard or Airtable or something like that. You can do that by having the data available to you in a database of your choice. So the idea here is you create a Syncro API key. I currently have this set up on the demo account with AWS S3, but we support Azure Blob Storage as well as MySQL, Postgres, and SFTP. So let's say you were going to use a Postgres database. The way this would work is you'd enter your credentials for that. Once it's set up, you can choose if you want to export the data on a daily, monthly, or weekly cadence, and then you can automatically you can manually schedule a sync. So then you will have all of that data. It's pulled from our API. We're just making that very easy for you, so you don't have to mess with the code. And then you get all that data sent to your database of your choice. So pretty straightforward. Then you can do whatever you want with it. Okay, moving on. And again, if there's questions, feel free to post them and I will come back and answer them. Lastly, if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you don't want to build anything at all, so if you export your database info using the database exports integration, you then have to build all your own charts and all that stuff in whatever tool you want, and that's fine. Great if you have the expertise in Power BI. If you don't want to deal with that and you just want something pre-made, you can use the Power BI template that we have created. It's very easy to set up. You just create a Syncro API key, and then you get access to this dashboard. This is using our demo data from our demo account, but you get a dashboard page, monthly stats on various things like how many resolved tickets there were by month, daily stats, RMM alerts. Again, a lot of this stuff can be filtered. I only want to see a particular customer, or I want to look at a particular date range. I can see all my different tickets and sort them. Ticket timer info. I won't go through every one of these pages, but you get a lot of different pages. A couple of my favorite are the technician efficiency page and the customer efficiency page, where you can see by customer how much you've billed them, and then how many hours you've spent, revenue per hour, how many tickets and revenue per ticket, for example. And you can filter by problem type. For example, if you wanted to filter out a project type of ticket, you could do that. And so only see certain kinds of revenue. Anyway, this is pre-made. You don't have to build anything for that. And you can access that if you're on the team plan. Okay, that's all the stuff I was going to run through. Andy, your turn.
Yeah, I got to hit a couple other core features on the platform. And I apologize. I'm a little under the weather, so my voice is probably going to sound a little goofy here. 1 second. All right. So first thing is the ticket view assignments. Now, we rolled out this new UI for ticket views. This is available to everybody, this portion here, a couple weeks ago. Basically, it lets you set the order that your ticket views are going to come in and appear. You can set your defaults here, and then you can pin and unpin views, which mean they'll basically appear in your list of drop-down views or not, regardless if they exist. Then you can edit them and delete them just like you always could. Excuse me. So the new part is this team views here. Basically, I've got some dummy data in here, but basically every single view can have technicians assigned to them or removed from them. And there's two different ways to do it. You could do it up here in these ticket views up top. And then down below, you'll see lists of your technicians. And as an example here, I've got a technician who can only see my VIP tickets. Here, I've got a technician who can see all of my ticket views except for the VIP tickets. And so basically you can assign these text default views. You can say what's going to be pinned and unpinned. And then over here, you can physically define what views are visible to them and which views are not. And then that is done in conjunction with some new security group permissions, where you can physically set who can create, delete, edit, manage team views, who's allowed to pin and unpin views and things like that. And then this works very good with our new ticket automation. So within ticket automations, under the team plan, we've added a new category. So everybody is basically hourly. This is what's included in the core plan. And then in the team plan, you also have a real-time automation for when tickets are created. So as a very, very basic example, this can get super deep in terms of what you can do. But I said, okay, if I have a customer tag, which is something also new that we added for all plans in the past month, if it includes VIP, meaning I've flagged certain customers in my Syncro instance as being a VIP customer. So every single customer that opens a ticket, regardless of the contact opening the ticket, I'm going to add this ticket tag, which is VIP. And that is what I flow back into this VIP tickets view that only this Bobby technician has access to and the HANA technician does not. So that's effectively how this works, and effectively how you can say, you know, this technician can work tier 1 type tickets. This technician is for tier 2. Onboarding stuff goes over to these technicians or these 5 technicians. It's all relatively easy to do with how this is set up. And the last element to this that I really can't show here, but I'll explain, is some updates to Splashtop. So Splashtop has some additional features under the team plan. One is supporting simultaneous logins to the same machine. Now, everybody has always been able to access as many machines as you want at the same time as a single technician. What this does is it allows multiple technicians, or if you've enabled your work from home licenses for many of your customers, and you want to remotely log on to a machine that your customer is also remotely logging on to, you'll both be able to do that simultaneously. That's a feature that wasn't available previously. Again, functionality of the team plan. And the other is multi-monitor support. Now, everyone has always had access to a toggle button, which exists in the header on Splashtop, and that lets you toggle between one monitor, and it basically just cycles through every available monitor. This is in addition to that. It's basically a single view that has multiple monitors in the same view, meaning you could take a window and drag it between monitors all within the same view. And then I know we're getting a lot of questions on this. So if you are on the team plan, that added functionality is also available to any of your customers that have work from home licenses enabled. So if that's something that you want them to have, they'll automatically get it when you're on the team plan. So I think that rounds out the team plan functionality. I'm going to go into some recent stuff that we've rolled out over the past couple of weeks. One thing we just rolled out today, actually. I'm going to show it here for the first time. And basically what we did was in August, we decided to hold off on our open submissions for our community-driven development track. And we basically repurposed those resources and just made a bunch of small updates and cleanup tasks around the platform, stuff we've been looking to do for a while, and we really just wanted to get it done. We're going to be starting our open submissions again in September. So this is basically the culmination of all of that. The first thing that, again, it's a Splashtop fix, so I'm not going to show it to you. But basically, I think folks thought that it didn't reconnect on reboot or loss of connection. It actually did, but there was a weird issue with it where it would have to reconnect within 5 seconds, or it wouldn't actively do the reconnection. And anyways, we worked with Splashtop on that, and we got a resolution for that. So now it should happen within 10 minutes before it times out, and you'll automatically reconnect if you disconnect for any reason, or if you reboot the machine, you won't have to wait for it to come back. You can just leave it up. It'll keep perpetually trying to reconnect for you. So that's live now. And then some of these smaller features, I know folks have been asking for this one for a long time. If you have CCs on a ticket, this wasn't necessarily a bug, but it also wasn't necessarily great design. Previously, if the end user replied to a ticket and they didn't reply all, meaning all the CCs that were included on the ticket they were sending back into Syncro, it would basically strip those off of the ticket itself. So now that no longer is the case. It doesn't matter if the end user replies all or not. The only way to remove a CC is if a technician physically goes in and removes them themselves. So I know that was a big thing, folks. It was causing some pain for folks, so I'm glad that we finally got that one out the door. Next one is pretty cool. We had a lot of folks saying, hey, it'd be really nice if we had an open RMM alert and we could create an automated remediation right from that. So we've added that ability here with this generate automated remediation item here. And it'll basically just create the trigger category automatically for you. And then you can just go ahead and add in whatever actions that you want to take for that remediation. So just kind of like a quick shortcut there to creating an automated remediation. This is our vulnerable systems report. This is going to show every endpoint that's missing patches and what they are. We added these KB titles. We had the KB there before, but it's kind of annoying to have to drill into every KB and find out physically what it is. So we added the titles here so you can now easily see those. And you're going to know exactly what's being installed when you do press that install button. This is our technician time, our ticket time by technician report. And basically, we just added a contact field to here. I know we were having some people going through the approve and post process, and they just want to know who they were doing the work for physically. So that's a new column that we added here to this report. This one's kind of cool. So basically, when you search for something in the search box, anywhere where it's physically that text physically matches, we're going to highlight it in yellow. It'll just be there for anything that it directly matches, but it does make finding certain things a little bit easier within a litany of results like this. Next up is we have these open invoice reminders to let folks know if they're overdue on invoices and they owe you, and you just want to gently remind them that this is due. We had some folks saying, hey, look, I want to notify somebody else without making the core person that I'm emailing feel like they're going to get in trouble. So we added a BCC field here so you can notify that secondary contact without letting the primary contact know that you've necessarily escalated it, so to speak. And then we've done a bunch of other miscellaneous cleanup tasks. I'll show you a couple of them. One is that we went and we alphabetized a whole bunch of lists. It was like 12 or 15 lists, and I know we're still going through some more and getting those done. But I know that was a bit of a pain point for folks. There was another one that was kind of dumb. I don't know actually why we've done this initially, but if you don't put an address in for a customer when you're adding them, it used to automatically add Washington State as the state. Now that's been cleaned up, so that won't be there anymore. Another one, which is kind of a big deal, if you've had it happen to you, it seems like everybody's had it happen to them once. There's two ways to run scripts in bulk. The most common way is going into actions and saying, I want to run a script. And here you can pick any category of devices. So you can just run it against all your devices. You want to do it against like a saved asset search, all endpoints belonging to a specific customer, or just a specific policy folder against a customer. The other way to do that is just picking a couple endpoints and saying, okay, I want to run a bulk action and run a script just against these specific endpoints. They may not match anything specifically, maybe across different customers or different types of endpoints or whatever. What we were having happen was folks would select some assets from here, didn't realize it was a bulk action. They would go here and hit run script. And then they would say, okay, I want to do it all Syncro devices out of the ones I picked. And this would actually run against every single one of their endpoints erroneously. Obviously not what they intended to do. So basically what we did was now, if you have one or more endpoints selected, this will basically be disabled and you don't have the option to do that anymore. And it will tell you, hey, use the bulk actions instead. And this will be the way that you run that, just to prevent anybody from accidentally doing that. And then this one is a behavioral change. Not a big deal, but it's been in the system forever and it never should have been that way. Previously on a lot of the record lists, tickets being an example of that, when you clicked in the customer name, it would actually drill into the ticket record or the invoice record, whatever it was. And we fixed that. So now clicking into this will actually drill into the customer record like it should. So this kind of unifies the way that this works within the platform. If you want to drill directly into the record, you could always click the subject or just the record number, and that'll go into the ticket or the invoice or whatever it was, as it always has. And then we just rolled this out today. I'm going to make sure that, oh, yeah, okay, it's live. Just refresh this and make sure it is. Yep, okay. So on automated remediation, we had a lot of folks asking for us to add customer template tags so they can include it in ticket text and things like that. So we've gone ahead and added that. So every single customer tag that's available on the platform is now available for use in your automated remediations. And that is live as of right now. So I think that's a summary of everything that we were looking to do this month for like the quality of life track and a couple other things that we're releasing. I know the splash top thing with the reboots has been a sticky point for folks and the CCs. So we actually did quite a bit this month for the QOL track. And like I said, next month we'll be spinning up the open submissions again. We just want to make sure we got a lot of these out this month specifically.
All right, my turn again. So thanks, Andy. That's fun stuff. Couple just general announcements. It's currently Partner Appreciation Month, which means we're giving away stuff for anyone that refers new partners to Syncro or that records a testimonial video for our YouTube channel. So if you are interested in doing that, we're giving out some fun stuff. I will post the link to that. There we go. In addition to that, at the end of this webinar, we're going to do a live raffle for everyone who is currently here and give away a copy of Andy's book and an hour of Andy's time, giving you some MSP business consulting, which Andy is amazing at. So if folks are interested, stick around to the end and we will do that live raffle for someone in this webinar. Okay, next thing is we've got a couple new resources available to folks if they want to take advantage of them. So I did a what's trending in the MSP industry webinar, I want to say a week ago, that is now available on demand. If you want to check that out, again, I will put that link in the chat. So feel free to check that out. We also have an MSP sales fundamentals course. There's a workbook and some video sessions. So if you're interested in leveling up your sales for your MSP, you can check that out. There is a additional digital kind of pamphlet thing with 55 best practices for MSPs that you can get the ebook for. So feel free to check that out. And lastly, we have this MSP client onboarding checklist. So if you want to standardize your onboarding checklist, here's a starting point for you. And those are all available to you. So check them out. Hopefully they're helpful. Feel free to give us any feedback or ideas if there's other things we can put together for you that would be of service. Okay. I think that we are ready for Q&A. There are quite a few questions that have come in, and we will stop at like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Let's do 5 minutes before the top of the hour. We'll do the raffle. Andy, are there any you want to take right off the top?
Yeah, so Manuel's got two questions about Splashtop specifically. The first one is Splashtop, does it show both windows on one window or dual monitors so that it can be moved to different monitors? On the team plan, it will show all monitors in a single window, although you can separate them. So like if you wanted to full screen one and full screen another on dual monitors on your end as the one connecting, you can do that also. And then he's also asking, is the reconnect only for the Teams plan? No, that's available to all plans. And that was basically an issue that we had to work through with Splashtop. So that's functionality that everybody has access to today.
We had a question which I answered already. Is there a KB article for the Power BI integration? Can you provide a link? And yeah, I'll put that in the chat. I did answer that already via text, but there is the link to the KB.
Trying to see if there's anything specific to the team plan. I don't see too many.
We have one here from John. Can anyone set up the database backup that used to be a feature for the slightly upgraded version of Syncro a few years ago? Yeah. So for context, we used to have 3 plans, actually. A lot of people don't remember this, but we used to have 3 plans. And the highest tier plan was called the advanced plan, and that included database exports, but that was different. What that was a Dropbox integration. and you could only export a certain subset of things. And I believe it was either, I want to say it was like daily or weekly, how often. And it exported them as CSVs. So anyway, we deprecated that pricing plan. We went to one pricing plan. Now we've relaunched. Now we have two pricing plans. It's a little bit simpler. This database export to integration does a lot more. It's a lot more useful than that old thing. And so, yeah, because it integrates directly with a database, which then means you can use it to build live dashboards and whatnot. It is a completely separate integration than that older functionality. And yeah, it's only available on the team plan currently.
Manuel saying I tried to reconnect earlier today and it didn't reconnect after 5 minutes. I mean, I don't know how slow the machine is you were rebooting. The one thing I try, I've had a couple people tell me they had to do this, was to update your viewer app. Now that's not the app on the machine you're connecting to, it's on the machine you're connecting from. So if you just uninstall it on the machine you're connecting from, every time you go to connect, it'll pop up a little modal and be like, hey, click this for Windows or click this one for Mac from the machine you're connecting from, and that should resolve it if you're seeing that issue. All right, I'm going to just go through the list then. There's nothing, I don't see anything else team specific. Lee's asking on the ticketing system, will you have a way to do a search for text within the body of the ticketing system rather than just the subject line? Lee, I know it's something we're looking at. Ian, was there something in the Power BI stuff specific to that? I forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, it's obviously it's a workaround. In the Power BI integration, if you go to tickets, we have this table here, and you'll notice there's the body. So the body of the ticket is there, and you can use this and you can search. So I'm like an example, LCD. So I can like search through these if I want to. So that's like one way you can filter by body. All these things can also become full screen, and there's filtering on the side. So, you know, you can, I don't know, I'll do the same thing over here. But there's, yeah, all kinds of like ways you can filter by stuff. Obviously, like this is in Power BI, so it's not in the app, but you can technically filter by body in here.
Yeah, but in general, that is something that we're looking to add at some point for sure. John's saying he tried to set up ACH and is having issues. John, I direct you to Syncro support on that one. Just help at syncromsp.com, and they'll help you get sorted on that. Jordan's asking, is there a way to change the accent color on the Syncro dashboard? There is not as of today. I know there's some Chrome plugins that you can do that kind of stuff with if you really wanted to, but there's not a native way to do that today.
Got a question here from Elizabeth. I remember when you had those 3 pricing tiers. Why not raise prices $10 to $15 a month for everyone and keep a single pricing tier? That way, no one feels like a second-class citizen. Sure, that's one of the options we could have gone with. I think like no matter what, somebody's going to be unhappy. So like there will be folks who, if we had done that, would say, I don't want those things and I don't want to pay $15 more for them. So it's a little bit of like, well, for example, with the splash top additional features, we have to pay splash top more to give you access to those features, right? So our costs go up as well. So like, I don't know, there's pros and cons, right? If you give people options, like some people won't be happy about that. If you make everyone do it, there's other people that are not gonna be happy about that. So I don't know, there's pros and cons. I don't know what the perfect answer is. This is the route we tried to go because we thought it was a little more fair. You could elect to get those features if you want to, otherwise nothing changes. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I just want to add too that this is where we're starting. This is certainly not where we're ending. And I don't mean that in terms of plans. I just mean that in terms of functionality. For example, there's a lot of things I know we're looking to add into the team plan. And I know we've got plenty of things we're adding to the core plan as well. I know we've announced that we're looking at adding SSO and global IP allow listing for all plans, obviously including the core plan. Later this year. So there's plenty of stuff to come for both plans. So I do think it is relatively easy to say, well, I only like 2 of these things today. I don't think that'll be the case tomorrow. But we do want to make sure that people have options. Like Ian said, I don't really think it's fair to charge everybody for things they don't want. And options are never a bad thing. Jonathan's asking, is there a plan to have ticket automations trigger from the resolve status? So that's a good question, Jonathan. As of today, no. And the reason being was because prior to the team plan, all automations ran hourly. So theoretically, if you resolved a ticket, it would always remain true. If you're using ticket resolved as the condition, it would fire every single hour because it would always qualify. So we've recently added a run once toggle where it can only run once. And I think what we might wind up doing is allowing you to set that, but you'll have to set it so it can only run once. And that way it's just like a one-off as a ticket is resolved. So I know that's something we're looking at down the road. Jonathan's asking, any updates to reports for technician times? We have to do totals and averages in a Google Sheet. I think you're probably talking about like a tech utilization report. I know that's something that we're eager to do. I don't know where exactly in the timeline that's going to fit, but I know we hear that quite frequently. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from there.
Jonathan, if there's specific stuff that you'd like to see there, I may be able to add it into the Power BI template app relatively easily. But regardless of where we add it, it might be helpful to have a little more detail on what you're looking for.
Anonymous users asking, does adding the personalized support and onboard experience? Oh, I think they're asking what that is. So basically, it's not different support. It's a different support medium. So support in terms of how you're going to get support is the same. It's just a different way to get it. So with the team plan, you're able to schedule support calls. So if you know that you're booked for the majority of the day and you need someone to call you back at a very specific time versus waiting to get an email where you might not be able to respond until tomorrow, that's something you can set up now. It doesn't mean that you go to the front of the line or that you receive a different tier of support or anything like that. It's just an additional support medium that those folks have access to.
Yeah, it sounds like we may have some support updates in one of the upcoming AUAs that are pretty cool. So that apply to all plans. Got one here from Des. While understanding your position on plans, something like database backup should be available to all clients. I'm a one-man shop and never likely to hire staff. I'd love to be able to ensure I had a backup. I hear you. I think like the reality of it is we back up the heck out of all the data. So like there's no functional reason for you to back up the data because we're already backing it up in very, very often. So your data is safe. That's not really like the issue. If you want to do something with the data and build your own dashboards or whatever, like that's more the intended use case here, because it's not like you having another copy is really going to make a ton of difference because we have lots of copies. So
yeah, and for what it's worth too, and this is what we used to do with the old, Dropbox thing that Ian was talking about. If you go in your reports, you do have exports for things like your customers, your invoices, your tickets, and then assets can be exported on the assets page as well. So that's all available. The database export is really a way for you to take all of your data and do something with it. I want to build my own dashboards. I want to build my own reports. That's really the intent of that specifically, which is not easy to do with a bunch of CSV exports, basically.
Got a question here from James about adding more Syncro Zapier options. So I'm the one that's been like kind of doing that when I have free time, which is not very often. I will say that it's quite easy for me to add Zapier options for creating objects in Syncro. So like I already added a bunch of new ones, such as create contact. I think I added create invoice. It's also easy to like get an object, like get an invoice. What is not that easy, just given the limitations on our API, is when triggering when something happens in Syncro. So that's where I'm a little limited, but if you have particular requests, you can send them to me and I'm happy to work on them when I have free time.
Is there a plan to have ticket automations able to add a CC to a ticket either by status, issue, or tags? No, but I think that's actually a really good suggestion. So you're just saying you want it to be able to create it. If I understand correctly, you want to be able to create a ticket and then you want to have it physically add a CC. I actually thought we could do that. Ian, you want to take another question? I'm going to look at that really quick.
Yes, we have a series of 4 of the same question from Sean. When will Syncro support event viewer monitor for entries deeper than top level Windows application security system logs? There's a lot of things we need to change in the event log monitoring, just in general. I actually just had a conversation with some folks about it yesterday and like last week. I don't have a timeline on that kind of thing. We are aware of the improvements that should happen there. So I don't have an answer that is definitive, but I can tell you that we are aware and that it is being discussed.
Okay, Jonathan, you're right, it's not there. So do this for me. Go into our community forum and into our feature request category, add that there and ping me on it, because I think that is a great suggestion. I know just what you're after there. So yeah, set that up and then I'll follow up on that there. Ian, we have a couple questions on ACH payments. I will say that ACH is supported through WorldPay, so you do have that option. Is there any other plans for anything else? Anything extra you can share there?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have additional options there, and we have at times made a lot of effort to make that happen. It's a really heavy lift engineering wise to add additional payment processors that are integrated in the way that WorldPay is integrated. It is not at the top of the list compared to other things folks are requesting, and because it is such a heavy lift, that is why it often doesn't happen. That being said, I will be the first to admit we should have more options, and it would be hugely beneficial. So I'd love to get to that. It's hard to, it's been hard over the years to get to it just because of the like cost benefit analysis of the amount of time we put in versus the amount of requests for other things and how long those would take. So that just a little context there. I already have like tons of ideas for what we would add, and I understand the complaints and they resonate.
Are the Ian, I wouldn't know this one. I think you probably would. Are the built-in backups that you do sync to multiple locales? I guess they just want to know if it's spread out across multiple geolocations.
Like in our server infrastructure? Yeah. Yeah.
Tanner's asking, is it possible to set up a ticket automation based on a contact for our customer using customer tag, not the actual company contact? On the contact. Okay, so you want it on a specific, no, actually it's not available today. Same answer to you. Go ahead and add that into our community forum in the feature request category and ping me on it, because I think that's a great idea too. There's definitely a VIP contact that you'd want to be able to deal with. And I know we are, I'm pretty sure we're adding tags to contacts at some point. Did I hear that right, Ian?
I thought we were adding it to a lot of objects, contacts. I don't remember specifically about contacts, but I assume yes.
Okay, and then when you put that up there, I'll take a look and see if that is something we're doing. Because if we add that to contacts, then you should be able to make a tag that would handle that for you.
Question here from Jack. What's the status of SSO? We're working on SSO this quarter. It's coming to all plans. That's the status.
It would be, all right, so somebody's asking about, it would be nice to have a checkbox to allow deleting Syncro contacts that are not in Azure AD.
Ooh, so many edge cases. As of right now, our method, the way we're thinking about it is that Azure is the source of truth, and it will sync things to Syncro based on the email contact. The email address being the same. There are a lot of weird edge cases if you start to like get into deletion. So, for example, what if you don't have complete control over like that Azure instance and someone else has admin access and they go delete them and then you lose somebody in Syncro and you don't even know. Which also, if you're automating billing, would change how much you're billing that client. There's a lot of things there. One thing that I would like to add is like the ability to multi-select contacts to delete them, but which could help that.
Sean's asking, is there a way to view a report for all SNMP devices and the monitors for them, or at least the monitors that are in error? No, but you shouldn't really, if it's working, it shouldn't ever fail. If it fails, it would fail globally, like you lost access to the device or something. So when you add those monitors to your SNMP device, it will in real time show you if it fails or it's not a real OID or something like that. So there's not a report, but I don't think you should need it because you should never get an error unless you just added a bunch of stuff and then didn't like check as you were adding them if those were legit OID values. Jack's asking, he says it would be nice if you could archive retired devices to remove from asset list, but the history would stay. Yeah, this comes up all the time, and I agree. No need to open a feature request on that one. I know that we're definitely looking at something for that specifically. Let's see. Craig's asking, do we have a discussion board for patch management, meaning where MSPs can discuss known issues with Microsoft patches after they're released? I don't think we have a specific forum for that, but you could just go in our community forums for that specifically, or if you use our Facebook group also, people respond. You'll put it up and you'll have like multiple responses in minutes. Our community is super, super helpful. So either one of those, and you'd be able to get answers there pretty quick.
A question from YouTube. How about script exports? So I assume you mean you want to back up your scripts from Syncro to somewhere. I would suggest the opposite, actually. Like I would suggest writing your scripts and storing them in something like GitHub so that you have version control and then putting them in Syncro based on that. For security reasons, we do not have API endpoints for a lot of things around scripting, because we do not want anyone to be able to run a script via the API. So there's no way to export scripts via the API, and that's very much on purpose because, for example, if some vendor, new MSP company comes out and they do something around script automation, and they want to integrate with our API, they get a bunch of MSPs to use the platform, and then they get compromised. All of a sudden, because they have access to run scripts, they can then install ransomware on like a bunch of our partners' machine endpoints, and we would have nothing to do with that. It's that someone else got compromised. So we don't want to rely on other vendor security for that. So that is why scripts are not available to be done with anything with in the API.
Let's see. Is there a way to change the contact on a ticket to an email submitted from the system tray? Fabian, I don't totally understand the question. If you have a contact assigned to the endpoint that a ticket was opened using the agent contact form, it will automatically assign them to the ticket. If somebody else's information is input into there, it will still open for that contact, but it will put their information at the bottom of the ticket. So if you need to like add them as a new contact or the machine switch ownership or something like that, it does that so you can go ahead and update that. So there's, ask a follow-up question on that because I may not be totally understanding what you're asking, but I think that was it.
Question from Fauzi. Is there a way to import all devices discovered by Domots to Syncro, like phones, printers, etc.? Also, could we get alerted when a new script is added to the library? On the second part, in terms of getting alerted, we're looking at all kinds of things you get alerted for. That is a great suggestion and one we have talked about and would very much like to get to and plan to. On the Domots side, that because Domots built the integration there, that is something you should talk to Domots about.
Elizabeth is asking, is Syncro looking at adding multiple SMTP outbound accounts? This really helps to differentiate notifications from, say, invoice emails. That is something we're looking at. I wouldn't have an ETA or anything for that, but especially for invoices and if you have your own billing admin that needs to handle those externally or in a different format, it's definitely something that we need to be looking at. So I know that one comes up quite frequently, and it's one that we're definitely looking into. John's asking, is there any plans around an EU-based data center? I would love to have my Syncro instance ticket data based in the EU to help with compliance issues. Ian, there shouldn't be any compliance issues.
No, it shouldn't.
Because we're meeting all
Shouldn't be
the
any technical compliance issues, no.
Yeah. If there's something specific that you think like we're not meeting that you need to be meeting, definitely let us know. But I don't think you should be experiencing any compliance issues now. So the answer to that one as of today is no. Sean's elaborating on the SNMP question. He's saying it wasn't necessarily for the setup process, but a way to get a broad overview of devices that might have an SNMP monitor and error that I missed without having to go into each device. So no, there's not. Yeah, I mean, if you missed it when you added it, then no. But like I said, when you add it, it'll like you don't have to add it before you see the result. As you add it and go on to the next thing, it'll physically tell you it failed. So it should be pretty hard to miss, but there's not a way to get it like a report of them or anything like that today. Yeah, we've got somebody talking about the change where you click the customer name and it goes to the customer. They're saying that's a good change, but they need to break some habits. I agree. That's a tough one because it's been that way for so long.
Yeah.
But it is wrong. I mean, like you shouldn't click the customer name and it goes somewhere else.
I mean, I click it to go and it goes to not where I'm expecting anymore. So I have the same, but long term it is the better thing. Question from Alan. Is there a way to add products used to an invoice from the products list? Yeah. Isn't that? I'm not sure I understand. Yes. Let me pull up the demo account. I think I'm understanding what you're saying.
I can do it if you want really quick.
Here. Oh, you got it?
Yeah. So right here, if this is what you mean, you could just add, I don't know what stuff I have in here. Oh, trip charge, whatever. This all comes from your products. So you should just be able to create them ad hoc to an invoice if you need it. Doesn't have to roll through a ticket if you don't want it to. If that's not what you meant, let us know. But if that is, and you can even add up like a manual item from here if you want to. And this is also where you do bundles if you want to bundle stuff as well.
We only have time. There's a lot of questions. We only have time for like 2 more and then we'll do the raffle.
Oh, go ahead. Manuel's asking, it would be nice to log when computer names are changed and be able to search for the old computer name. I don't know if you're aware of this. There is functionality in here for using friendly names. And this is actually kind of cool because then the computer name will never change. Well, the host name will obviously change, but the computer name won't. So let me just pull up my Syncro devices here. So when you're editing a device, you can check this box, which is use the friendly name, which is this here. So whatever I put here, it'll tell you what the host name is, but the host name can change and you can always search for the friendly name. So using this is just a massive time saver because you never have to worry about somebody changing devices, or if you've got like a specific nomenclature, which doesn't necessarily make sense, but you're using it at the customer site and it's just not in a friendly naming convention. This is so much easier to work with because you can search for it in the search all the things. You can also search the host name as well. So you can do it both ways. But doing this is just so much easier to work with. So I don't know if you know that's available, but that'll probably save you some time if you start utilizing that. Craig's asking, will there ever be an option to make a device inactive? Yeah, I think archiving an asset is what we're looking at there. And I think the best solution would probably be to archive it and have it turn into like an informational thing only, where there's no actions you can run against it. It just has the historical stuff in the machine. So it is something we're looking at. Ian, you want to roll into the raffle?
Yeah, let's do the raffle. Okay, so we had a couple folks drop off, but then we had some folks join. I'm gonna say at this moment there's 44 active watchers that I can tell what their name is. There are more folks that I don't know. I'm gonna screen share this random number picker wheel, and we're gonna click where's spin. It's kind of fun. I've never done this before. All right, 14. Okay, so that means I gotta go count here. Well, give me 1 second. All right, the winner is Jack West. So Jack, I'll look up your contact info, get in touch with you, but you got a free copy of Andy's book and an hour where you can get some consultation, hopefully grow your MSP. So congratulations. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'll get you a link to set up that time with me, Jack.
Sweet. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for asking all your awesome questions. And these are always fun. So join us for the next one. Have a good day.
See you guys next time.